We learned that Air Uganda and RwandAir have unveiled a code-share agreement that will enable their airlines to synchronize costs while maximizing profits and allow passengers to book on both airlines. For more on this, I'm joined on the line by Mulewa Cornwell. He is the CEO of Air Uganda. Mulewa, thank you so much for making the time to speak to us. How does this agreement accelerate regional integration for East Africa?
It is very much in the spirit of the East African community, where the region as a whole is coming together to provide coordinated services to facilitate economic growth. We have seen a lot of the different sectors now working together, and I think the leading sector is usually aviation, and we believe it makes sense for the people in both countries.
Now, Mulewa, if we look at how the strategy is geared to improve both profit prospects for both airlines, how are you ensuring that both Air Uganda and RwandAir are going to increasing their profit dividends from this particular code-share agreement?
I think the agreement makes sense to our passengers because our passengers are looking for convenience of travel. They are looking for frequency. There is a lot of trade, obviously, within East Africa, and specifically between Uganda and Rwanda. So what we are offering is effectively a minimum of 3 flights a day, on some days 4 flights. So we are offering about between 21 and 28 services a week between the two cities, which means at any time of the day, anybody from both countries can get up on the flight and be able to reach their destination to facilitate their business. So it makes sense from that perspective, and we have already seen, since we started, a boost in terms of passenger numbers taking advantage of these services.
On the one hand, I understand that we're seeing an increased frequency in the number of flights between the two cities. How do the rates now compare to other airlines in the region?
I think the rates are very competitive, and we expect that with the stimulation of additional traffic that this agreement will bring, that the rates will become even more competitive for both businesses. The traveling public have seen, in particular since 2007, when Air Uganda came onto the market and brought competition in these areas, that they are paying better rates than they used to pay before, when they had only 1 or 2 carriers operating. So it makes sense both from a business perspective for us. We increase our market and market share for both airlines, and secondly, from the passenger perspective, because of the volumes that are stimulated, also the fares will become more and more affordable for all of them.
Mulewa, how does this agreement in particular change the landscape for the airline industry, both in Uganda and Rwanda? Is it injecting any degree of competitiveness that was otherwise not there?
The competitiveness is there. In fact, in East Africa, there are many airlines operating and competing on almost all routes. But specifically for our passengers, what it allows them to do is to get access to the extension of the network beyond any particular airline. For example, passengers on RwandAir will be able to connect on the services of Air Uganda to other points, not only the points from Kigali to Entebbe, but to all the other points which we fly, which includes Mogadishu, Juba, and other areas where RwandAir would not normally fly. Similarly, for our passengers out of Entebbe, they can connect on RwandAir to go to Johannesburg, to Dubai. So they will have increased visibility of these services, which gives them more options and more choice in planning their journeys.
A few weeks, about a week and a half ago, Mulewa, we of course had that rather unfortunate incident in Kenya with the fire that took place at the international airport. And, you know, Air Kenya has taken, to a large extent, a big knock, not only in terms of its price share, but also in terms of its reputation and its brand following that incident. Are you taking advantage of an opportunity to position both Rwanda and Uganda as alternatives as a gateway into the East Africa region outside of Kenya?
As you say, the incident was very unfortunate indeed. And luckily for Kenya, they have alternative airports for international traffic. As a landlocked country here in Uganda, we have one major international airport, so we are all interdependent on one another throughout East Africa, which is why it makes sense for aviation to open up throughout East Africa, because when incidents of this nature happen, obviously we would have alternatives with unrestricted access.
Thank you.
But for us specifically, we were able to operate to an alternative airport, which is Wilson out of Entebbe, so our passengers were not heavily inconvenienced.
Thank you so much, Muleya, for making the time to join us. Of course, that was Muleya Connell. He is the CEO of Air Uganda, speaking to us on the code-share agreement that has just been signed with RwandAir.